Hey, welcome back. Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome to our weekly show. We call it Three Broke Guys Handicapping. It's where we review one of the top racing cars from around the United States. We will select a four-race sequence from that track and attempt to come to a consensus on a pick four ticket. Thank you for joining us. It's week number 20 of the 2018 racing season. And we're right in what I like to think of as the sweet spot of the racing season between the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. Are actually going to Belmont Park in Elmont, New York. They have a stakes pack card for Saturday. It's the Man of War Stakes, and the late pick four starts in race number 8, and it finishes in race number 11. All stakes in the pick four on Saturday. My name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be joined by my friends and racing analysts. Folks, up first, we're right in his backyard. It's our East Coast handicapper. He's coming to us live from his home in Staten Island, New York. Ray Torado, you're the local guy this week. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Very excited that Belmont has a good card this weekend, and hope to go out there actually. But let's see.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Up next, it's our West Coast handicapper. He's coming to us live from his home. It's in Temecula, California, where Joe English is probably still counting up some of his winnings from last week's Kentucky Derby card. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing well, Rich. It's funny. I was actually going to put the mute button on and start speaking just to give the folks an example of what our Derby weekend was like. Actually, Derby day was like, considering we were at Santa Anita and we could watch every race, but we had no race calls or volume. So it was kind of weird. I mean, it worked out okay for me, but it was kind of weird not actually hearing the call of the Derby, even when we went to the restaurant after we went to the track. So. But it was a good weekend. I mean, like we always say, a bad day at the track beats pretty much most good days anywhere else.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, last week was, well, as you heard there, was some little track in the South. I can't recall, Churchill something or other. It was the Kentucky Derby. We did not have Funny Duck, so we did not hit our pick four. And, just speaking for Joe and myself at the very least, we were not amused by Funny Duck.
Not at all.
No.
All right. Time for a quick weather update. And this is coming to you from Elmont, New York. It says considerable cloudiness, occasional rain showers after midnight. They have a low of 52 degrees, winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and there is a 60% chance of rain. So just keep that in mind, 60% chance of rain for tomorrow. A total of 11 races, 5 stakes on tap for Saturday. For today, we are focused on the pick four, beginning in race number 8 and concluding in race number 11. Gentlemen, the gates are locked and loaded, the outriders are clear, and the starter is ready to pop the gate. It's pick four post time.
I got to get my goggles on, but if it's going to be 61% chance of rain, I might need another 2 or 3 pairs.
Yeah.
You might need a slicker.
And windy over there too, windy.
Race 8. Approximate post time is 5:14 p.m. Eastern Time. 6 furlongs on the main track. It's the Run Happy Stakes. The purse is $150,000 for 4-year-olds and upward. 6 starters, and your morning line favorite starts from post number 1. It's Skylar's Scramjet, trained by Michelle Nevin and ridden by Trevor McCarthy. 7 to 5 on the Belmont Park morning line. Run Happy. I do believe this is the inaugural running of this race. He is named for the 2015 Breeders' Cup Sprint Champion. In 2015, he won 6 consecutive stakes races, including the King's Bishop Stakes, the Phoenix Stakes, the Breeders' Cup, and then the Malibu Stakes. Notably, without the use of the common race day medication, Lasix. He was named the American Champion Sprint Horse for 2015. Joe, I seem to recall a pair of guys that bear a striking resemblance who saw that 2015 Malibu Stakes with Run Happy at Santa Anita. Who do you like in his race on Saturday?
Well, I want to give one caveat. I hope those aren't the same weathermen who predicted that Saturday wasn't really going to be a big problem rain-wise at Churchill Downs. So if they are, let's just watch the weather tomorrow before you. Don't worry about a forecast. Look at the track. Actually, It's funny. I'm kind of torn in this race. I'm not. It didn't come up as the strongest group of sprinters. I mean, we've seen Green Grotto run against pretty much everybody. and he's in this field. But to me, it didn't come up as the strongest race. I'm actually going to go with a horse who's coming off the layoff, and that's the 5, Always Sunshine, for Ed Allard and Kendrick Carmouche, who's pretty aggressive. I hope he's not too aggressive, because it looks like to me there's 2. Green Grotto for sure is going to the lead. The fact that Skylar Scramjet drew inside, I'm guessing he's probably going to lead. And Westwood seems like he only has one way to go as well. So I'm thinking it may not necessarily be a fast early pace, but it's going to be a contentious early pace. So I'm going to take a horse who can come from off of it a little bit. He's shown it back at his races in Parks. He actually ran in the Tom Fool back in the day and in the True North at Aqueduct. And he ran behind some pretty good horses that day. Joking, who was a Belmont lover at the time, and Holy Boss, who we've seen on this show, not recently, but a long time ago. But I think this horse has a chance to rebound. The horse, it does really well coming off layoffs in the past. 6 wins lifetime. Again, the one race at Belmont, to which the horse did not win, but he earned a 99 Beyer speed figure. And in this race, 99 Beyer speed figure might get the job done. So I'm going to go with Always Sunshine off the layoff at a bit of a price. He's 12-1. I'm guessing you probably won't get that much. I'm guessing you probably get a little bit less than that, probably in the 8 to 10-1 range. But that's still pretty good, considering there might be horses later in the card that might be a little bit, might be shorter prices that you want to make sure you have on your ticket. And again, I'm just not sure that Skylar Scramjet isn't going the wrong way. Again, I can't really. You're running in a grade 1, and I guess to get beat 10 lengths in a grade 1, is that better than winning a grade 3? I guess we're going to find out tomorrow. And the other thing is just on the PPs, I'm seeing that Trevor McCarthy is 1 for 36 at the meet. Mm-hmm. So he's obviously off to a scuffling start, and I'm not going to take a horse drawn on the rail at 7-5 who might be in a speed duel. He may be more talented than these, but I'm wondering if circumstances aren't going to get him tomorrow. And the other horse I kind of liked a little bit is because I got a chance to watch his last couple of races. The last race in particular is the 3, King Crans. That last race he fell into a perfect trip, and I can't see why he won't do it again. Again, if the 1, the 2, and the 6 are all out on the lead, the 3 and the 5 are in all likelihood the ones that are going to be sitting right behind them in the garden spot in order to take advantage of the trip. Rudy Rodriguez is obviously solid, 3rd off the layoff, and he's obviously much better on turf, on dirt, and with sprinters than he is with horses going long or horses running on the grass. His horses won 2 in a row. Arad Ortiz decides to get up. Arad rode last time. Again, it's kind of the 3 broke guys angle from an allowance race into the stake race. Not quite a graded stake, but still $150,000 purse isn't anything to sneeze at. And the horse just ran a few days ago. Actually, it's April 19th, would have been about 3 weeks ago. So obviously wheeling him back that quickly, the horse must be doing well. And I'm assuming Rudy sees something in him that makes him want to go forward in a spot like this right now. And it's also a logical step because they don't run a lot of non-winners of 4 lifetime or non-winners of 4 allowance races. So running in the stake seems like a good spot. So I'm going to take the chance that there's going to be, like I said, not a very fast, it doesn't have to be a fast speed duel, but it's going to be a contested speed duel between the 1, 2, and 6. So I'm going with the 5, Always Sunshine on top, and King Crans as my second choice. He's 9-2 on the morning line. So 5 and 3 in the Run Happy for me. And to be honest, Run Happy, if they ran him in this race right now, he'd probably be about 3 to 5, maybe 2 to 5, something close to what you'll see Justify at in the Preakness in a week. So 5-3 for me, Ray.
Yeah. Also, they'll be loading up on the show pool too. If we're happy right big time show pool.
If he was running in this race, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, I agree with you, Joe. My top choice is number 3, King Crans, 9-2. He seems to be a different horse on the Rudy Rod. He's 2 for 2 this year as a 5-year-old, and his figures are up even in the optional claiming events. And he's definitely a contender here. He's gonna lay off the pace, and he's gonna he'll be in a really good spot, just like last time. I like also number 2, Westwood. It's a nice gelding by Bernardini, a shadow. Actually, I saw a shadow brothers. Nice little filly there. This segues off the layoff. The Commonwealth Stakes behind Limousine Liberal, who won the Churchill Down Stakes last week. So, he ran against some good horses. He's a good speed type. And I think he could probably, stay close to the lead. Doesn't really have to be on the lead, and he but definitely may need to improve a little bit to win this. So dropping class definitely helps. And he picks up Giant Velasquez and McGoffin and Godolphin stable. So they're 2-1. You get a fair decent price for him. Also like number 4, Great Stuff. The short field helps the closer, and he had a failed attempt at the elusive quality stakes on grass. And we have one of those known Jacobson moves, running back on 14 days. So he fits here with a good pace up front. He's going to be closing from way back. Maybe not so way back. It depends, it's only, 6 horses, so he'll be, pretty much closer than before. But he's a co-high weight 124 scramjet, so he's got to pack a little bit of weight there. If I had to have a B pick, Skylar Scramjet number 1. Here's the winner of the Tom Fool as a favorite, grade 3. He found the card a little demanding, but he was only a half leg behind Great Stuff. I'm just a little concerned how he might handle the Belmont surface. If you notice, he's 1 for 3, but his last 2 races have been complete duds on Belmont. So, like you say, he might be going the wrong way. He's on a surface that he may not be comfortable with. So, I wouldn't take him at that price, 7-5. And of course, Trevor McCarthy's ice cold at the meet. So, sorry, Rich, I see a check mark there. I have to put him on my bottom line there. But I'll go 3, 2, 4, and then 1 as a B pick. Rich, back to you.
Yeah, unfortunately, the only horse that didn't get covered there extensively was the favorite, which is Skylar Scramjet, trained by Michelle Nevin and ridden by ice cold. I mean, literally ice cold Trevor McCarthy. And Joe, you can even back me up on this. He's actually been on a few favorites, including one last weekend and things like that, and he's just not bringing it home to the finish line lately. Despite that, I still ended up on Skylar Scramjet. I was looking at the back page first, the pace numbers here. It's a sprint, looks a lot like Santa Anita sprint. Just about 70% of the time you're getting to need to get to the front. So I was really just looking for the horses that had the best pace figures. I wasn't surprised at all to see that Green Grotto shows up there as one of the horses that has the best pace figures in this race. And Joe mentioned it before. We've been looking at Green Grotto since April of last year. You can actually see him on different pages. He wanted to hit the Carter last year, just going wire to wire. That being said, I didn't think he was what he was. Why not probably place a few bucks on him right now? And so I went with the next 2 that I thought that were up there in the pace, and that's Skylar Scramjet. It is the favorite. I'm sorry. And Ray mentioned it, 7-5 on the morning line. I'm sorry. So I'm going that way, and I used the 2 as well. I used Westwood, the Godolphin runner, John Velasquez and Kieran McLaughlin, and a little bit of that 3 broke guys angle again, moving up to the Commonwealth, and now drops back down. At the Keeneland races are very, very difficult, and Ray mentioned Limousine Liberal finishes second in that race. Before that, had won 2 in a row, and it actually won 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5 overall, coming into this race. So I just went 1-2. I just used those top 2. Ray, I went 1-2. Ray used 2, 3, 4, and he put the 1 underneath actually. And Joe, I believe, did you just use 5-3?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let me come on back to you guys, and we'll move along to our next race. Believe it or not, I was playing around with a tool this week trying to see if I could find something that would allow me to enter the picks as we're going along into the template that we use, so that we wouldn't have to see the little scramble at the end, but I couldn't quite get it to work just ready. All right. This is race number 9. It is 1 mile and a 16th on the inner turf. It's called the Boguet Stakes, grade 3. The purse is $200,000. It is for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward, 7 starters, and the morning line favorite is in post number 2, Inflexibility, trained by Chad Brown and ridden by Javier Castellano, 8-5 on the Belmont Park morning line. The race is named in honor of Elizabeth Arden's Boguet, the American champion 2-year-old of 1945, regardless of gender. Prior to 1983, the race took place on the main track at Aqueduct Racetrack, and in 1979, the Boguet Handicap was raced in 2 divisions. Okay, Ray, you are up in the Boguet.
The Boguet. It's
The Boguet.
I had trouble with this race, I tell you. Out of 7 horses, I'm picking 6 of them, honestly. That I think have a shot here. I mean, I'll start from the rail. I'm pulling out the Keno machine this race, yeah, because I'm mentioning a little bit of every horse.
If you're taking 6, just take them all, and that's because you know the 7th one's going to beat you.
Yeah, just tell me who the 7th. Actually, just
go all 7.
Just tell us who the 7th one is, at least, so I can bet that one.
But man,
yeah, really. I'm gonna put $20 on the 7th one, whoever it is.
All right, my top pick is my impression. I mean, it's a timid top pick. I was just looking for price here. 1 second off the layoff, and he's lost some close races, but he picks up Jose Ortiz. Shug back in Belmont. He can stay off the pace and make a decent run for the rail. So if he gets a good trip, then if he gets through, probably stay on the inside. He should come right up the inside and 4-1. I'll take 4-1. Number 2 in flexibility, nice win in optional claiming race. Chad Brown rolling her quickly back. Most likely winner here, Javi Castor. She's 4 for 8 in her lifetime, 7 in the money. We're going to get some good horses, and just step it up a little bit. But this race definitely fits her. She's been running long, but the distance she'll handle it. 10-1 on Lido, no 4. 2 for 2 this year against Les. He could work out a trip here for Louis Sayers. But I'm surprised he's 0 for 15 at the meet. But he'll wake up. He's a good jockey. Just coming back here. Probably just a little chilly here for him. Being in Florida. But I'm glad to see this horse is running the 2 close races in a cycle. Because he's been race layoff. So that shows me a decent sign. And I like to see that he's coming back. At 10-1 is a good price. He could definitely surprise here. Number 6, Arabian Beauty, Chad Brown. First time LASIK, first time USA. He does that at 30%, so I like that. Placed in grade 1 early stakes in Germany, long layoff. He could definitely come ready for this. And I have Ortiz gets the mount. He's 10 for 36. He's doing well here at Belmont. So number 7, Team of Teams, 8-1. Got some speed, Johnny V. Definitely could surprise here. Jimmy Jokins, limited starters, but he's 25%. But he needs to improve her figures to compete. So take the price. And then Tricky Escape, I want to know who's Gerald Iverson. 2 starts this year. Surprised if this horse even runs. They just scratched him. I don't know. Who knows? That's the horse I didn't mention, 5. But last race is pretty good. To be within 3 lengths of the grade 2 winner. 4-star Crook and Proctor's Ledge. We know those horses lock her down. So 8-1 Trick Escape could be a factor here. I didn't mention 5, so you know what? Put all your money on the 5. Joe, there you go.
It's funny you should mention. I actually don't hate the 5.
Yeah, okay.
I actually think the 5 has a chance to run underneath here. It's funny in races like this, and I'm going to use Ray. I'm going to use what we've been talking about so many times, whether on the show or off the show. It's we go in so many deep, and we end up with the favorites. So let's screw that. Let's just take the favorites. I'm not letting Chad Brown beat me. I'm going to take his 2 horses, and I think I'm just going to, hopefully move on to the next race. Inflexibility looks, he's obviously he's better. It's funny because with Chad Brown, I'm kind of torn in this race. He's better first off the layoff and third off the layoff than he is second off the layoff. So inflexibility would be, well, she's second off the layoff, so maybe that's not the thing. But when I look at 6, I look at Arabian Beauty, and I was looking at Rich had the PPs up, and the horse, the horse is bred to go longer, much longer than this. So I'm not sure if a mile and a 16th really is just a prep for something. Maybe they're trying to figure out how good she is, or maybe she just is, like you said, Ray, she placed in her grade 1 last time out. Maybe she's just better than these. But I mean, with Chad, because Chad's again, he's better first off the layoff. So I would say go with a Raving Beauty there. But again, a Raving Beauty is not bred for this distance. So I would say, okay, let's go to Inflexibility, because I think she's going to sit right off of Team of Teams, and she's going to get first run. And it will not surprise me if she's got the lead with 3/16 to go. The question is, will a Raving Beauty will she be actually in gear at this point in the race? Because by looking at her PPs, 9.7 average winning distance on the sire side, on the dam sire side it's 9.9. I don't know if this horse is going to be ready to run that early. The horse has obviously done okay, at a mile and a 16th and a mile and 1/8 in Germany. And it's funny if you think about it. Wake Forest came over from Germany. I think he had run there before he had come here. I think way back then I wasn't really all that sold on Wake Forest. But anyway, I'm going to simplify it as opposed to using Race Keno Machine. I'm going to take Chad Brown. His horses are running. It's fillies on turf. I can't really, you can't not use them. And if I'm going to end up winding up on the favorites anyway, and the favorites are going to win, why go 6 deep? Just take the 2. So the 2 and the 6 for me. Not sure if I had preferred one pick over the other. So I would probably just use both equally. 2-6, Chad Brown probably runs 1-2 in the bogey tomorrow. Rich? Hello, Rich.
Rich?
Sorry, guys.
Okay, we thought you lost you for a second.
Sometimes I lean down and my mute button will go on, and I know that there's a few audience members who are out there like, I like it better when that happens. But so I was going to sit there and say I think Joe's probably right. I think it's just the 2 and the 6, and I'm not sure if you need to go that much deeper. I did. So I went in between. So Ray fired up the Keno Machine. Joe just used the pair of Chad Browns. I can't find my icon for not splitting the cards, or else I'd put that up there. And I went in between that. So I actually used the 2 Chad Browns. So don't split Chad Browns. Inflexibility is probably the best horse in this race. Out of the last 4 races, you see there, I kind of highlighted it for everybody. The only race she's lost out of the last 4 involved a horse called Uni. For those of you out there know that horse is very good. And then La Coronel and Fault are running in, and Fault case, they're winning, big time stakes races right now. They're both very hot. Other than that, this horse is 3 for 3, and with 1/4, and the 4th is by 1 3/4 lanes. Ray mentioned it, 4 for 8 lifetime, 1 first, 2 and 2 third places. Chad Brown, Javier Castellano, they're hitting 50% together. This is the likely winner of this race. I'm sorry, I just have to say that. I was trying to go around it to see if I get a price in my pick 4 selections, because I got a little chalky there in the first leg. I only had the 2 favorites, so I decided to use my check marks here on my impression. A bit of a stock and pounce style horse for Shug with Jose Ortiz, second off the layoff for Shug, and looking for Jose Ortiz. And my second choice in this selection was Lido. And again, Ray kind of already touched on that one. That's the Godolphin racer. I hadn't realized that Luis Saez had been as cold as it is. He won't stay that way. And again, this is Kieran McLaughlin. Again, a little bit of that 3 broke eyes angle, kind of moving up in class from that last one. But just to note it, because you see the highlighted mark that's on there and things like that, moving up from Keeneland, which sometimes that's not really moving up, kind of moving across, even when it's not a stakes race, because Keeneland's just a tough place to run. So I've got the 1, the 4, the 2, and the 6. Ray's got 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 3, ding, 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 and Joe's got the 2 and the 6.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Let's get Lido to win, and we'll all be happy.
I'm betting the 5. I'm all over the 5.
I'm telling you, I don't hate the 5. I don't. I was, like I said, I would probably use that horse underneath.
Broken Bright. You know, it's not a bad. Now that I look at it, yeah, I can see it.
All right.
All right, I'm coming back before Ray jumps. All right, hello everybody, and we are moving along to race number 10, and this is a mile and an eighth on the main track. This is the Peter Pan Stakes. It's a Grade 3. Purse is $350,000 for 3-year-olds only. 8 starters, and your morning line favorite at 2-1. It's post number 1. Core Beliefs, trained by, hey, we know this guy, Peter Urton, and ridden by Tyler Bays. In 1907, Peter Pan won 6 of his 9 starts with 2 seconds, one of which was in the spring in the Wither Stakes. Guys, there was no triple count in 1907, so the 3-year-old Peter Pan was not entered in the Kentucky Derby or the Preakness Stakes. However, he won it was then a mile and 3/8, but it was the Belmont Stakes, and of course, that is now the 3rd leg of the Triple Crown. Joe, are we 3 broke guys, or are we lost boys in the Peter Pan?
Probably some of both. Can we be some of both? This race was really difficult for me. The horse I ended up on is a horse who hasn't ever won on dirt. At least let me just verify that. Yes, hasn't won on dirt. But Kyle Frey is coming across country to ride for Doug O'Neill. I mean, I'm not sure what Kyle Frey would have been doing otherwise. But he's staying aboard Blended Citizen, who was the 21st horse entered in the Derby. Obviously, the fact that he's running in this spot tells me that he would have been okay. I'm not saying he would have won the Derby or even finished in the top 10, but at least he was physically capable of running in the Derby. I think he may just have maybe there's a little bit of a class edge here. I'm not 100% sure of that, because obviously everybody's going to look at Core Belief saying, oh yeah, he ran behind Bolt Doro and Justify in the Santa Anita Derby. But I mean, in that race, somebody had to run 3rd. And I'm not, I mean, I guess we'll find out tomorrow whether Core Beliefs is really good enough to be mentioned. I mean, I don't know if he's good enough to really be mentioned with those horses anyway. But we'll see how good he is tomorrow. Shipping across country to run on a track he's never run on before. And to my knowledge, Pete Urton doesn't really ship to Belmont all that often, so there's really not a lot of data to tell me whether he can or can't do this, or whether he'll be successful or not. He's never even worked over the track. Obviously his last work was May 5th was at Santa Anita. So I don't know what to do with Core Beliefs in this race. So like I said, I went with more of a known quantity in the 4 Blended Citizen. I've seen Doug O'Neill ship out horses before and run well, not necessarily at Belmont all that much, but when they leave California, sometimes they wake up and they run better. And obviously he ran an okay 5th in the Bluegrass at Keeneland with a little trouble. Obviously won the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and give him a look at 6-1. My second choice in the race would be the 3, Just Whistle, and it goes against most of my beliefs to bet a maiden stepping up into a stakes race without going into an allowance race beforehand. But this horse seems to be getting better. Michael Matz, if anybody knows, he's the trainer of Barbaro. Ran second behind Hofberg, excuse me, in one of his maiden races at Gulfstream. Then won a Keeneland race from the rail last time out, and Keeneland maiden races tend, like Rich always talks about the Keeneland allowance races. Keeneland maiden races are also really tough. Joe Rosario obviously did some good things with this horse last time out. He gets them out again today. 3rd off the layoff for Matz, who obviously, if he could train Barbaro, he's obviously a pretty confident horseman. So I just went too deep here. Blended Citizen and Just Whistle in the Peter Pan, in really what could be a scramble. If Core Believes doesn't live up to the 2-1 morning line, this could be anybody. So 4 and 3 for me. And Ray mentioned the word earlier, tepid picks in the Peter Pan. So Ray, Are you firing up the Keno machine again in this spot?
No, running out of money. But I gotta tell you, there could be Tepin pits. No, Tepin pits are solid. um, this race, yeah, you're right. It's a little disappointing to see a field like this. The Peter Pan will go to Belmont. I guess you may get one horse here, the winner, to go to that race. But in this way, I mean, I did find a decent horse, Diamond King. He's 4 for 6, and one race he fell as he clipped heels. So he could be a factor here down the road. Nice winner in the Tessio, going long, mile 8, off the swale, where he ran decent third.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't looking really to sprint there. But he's going to get a nice garden spot here for Castellano. And it's very possible we'll have a Belmont entry for him. He runs well. John Service, Cash King, those guys, they want to go to Belmont, of course. They're local guys from Monmouth, I believe. And you're selling it to a good price. I do like High North a little bit, 4-1. Last win could wake him up. Flowing Drew, obviously rode him well in the Northern Spur. I think we saw the race. And like we spoke last week on the show, Brad Cox on fire. That this race seems to be a little bit weak, short field. So he has some excuses in the field of races. And he his figures have to improve a little bit. He did get 97. And the race before that, Oakland, fairgrounds, the little dough. I think Drew did something with him maybe, and he really rode him well. So I think I would expect the same performance from him, and he should improve here. I'm not too much sold on core beliefs. I know they ran third just fine, both in Santino Derby, but he's still eligible for downwards of 2. So just beware. He may take a lot of money because of that. And I did like your analysis on Blended Citizen, Joe. So I'm going to look to play him a little bit. So, but my picks here would be just the 5-6, and then the bottom line I'll put the 1 because I'm not really, we have to see what we're going to get for him. Peter Earn. I wonder if Brittany is going to be at Belmont. I get to say hello. But let's see. No, I'll go 5-6 for now and 1 on the bottom line. Rich?
Does anybody remember, like, back in the good old days of this show when there would just be like 2 California horses in an East Coast race, and you would just know for sure who Rich was going to bet? And now they didn't even show up on my ticket. Just goes to show you about evolution sometimes, folks. So Joe covered the horse I like already. I like the Michael Matz Joe Rosario horse here. So this is Just Whistle. Was down at Gulfstream Park. That race there, that March 3rd race, Ray, Joe, and I, we remember it well because that's the one that knocked us out of a very lucrative pick 4 that day there at Gulfstream Park. The race was won by Hofberg, and his next race just happened to be last week at the Kentucky Derby. At the Florida Derby, and then he went on to the Kentucky Derby. Just Whistle came out of that race, and he was a very, very nice winner. And again, Joe mentioned it was at Keeneland. It was a Keeneland maiden special weight. So even though he hasn't raced at the allowance level race, I would like to sit there and say because he won at Keeneland, especially in an 11-horse race at Keeneland, it's almost like that's like winning a maiden race at Santa Anita and then winning like a 5 or a 6-horse allowance race at Santa Anita, or non-winners of 1. He is battle tested, so to speak. There, he was by Pioneer the Nile. So I thought that this horse was worthy of my check mark, and you don't see that happen very often on this show. But maiden up to stakes races, moving up in class on 3 broke guys angle. I went with the 3 as my top pick here. I also like the 2 horses that Ray brought up already. So I thought Diamond King, John Service, and Javier Castellano. The horse has actually been pretty darn good if you look there. He's only had 2 finishes that weren't wins, right? 4 for 6 lifetime. Those races were won by a horse named Enticed. Again, last week he was in the Kentucky Derby, and Strike Power, who was on the Derby trail. They were trying to get him there, and he was in the Florida Derby. That was who beat him that day. So I thought I would put Diamond King on my ticket, and I also like the Brad Cox angle, the Brad Cox Florent Giroux angle in particular, considering the fact that That's one of the best numbers we'll probably see all year. If you look at the combination, 40% at that high of a number. They've got 48 connections together. They hook up all the time down there at that fairgrounds track. But Chiru is his guide today. He's stepping up off that Northern Springs, a win the last time. You see there, he was defeated by Magnum Moon and Bravazzo and Entice. So he's definitely class tested. So I went 3, 5, 6 here on my top line. The 3 is actually my top pick. And I believe Ray is just the top 2 is the 5, 6 you went with?
Yeah.
And Joe, your top 2 are 4, 3.
Toss in the morning line favorite. Love it.
Oh, there we go. Finally.
Love it, fellas. Love it.
Here we go. Coming on back to you. And we are moving along to the finale. It is race number 11. They are going 1 mile and 3/8 on the inner turf. It's the Man of War Stakes. It's a grade 1. The purse is $700,000 for 4-year-olds and upward. 10 starters, and your morning line favorite starts from post number 7. Hi, Happy. Trained by Todd Pletcher and ridden by Luis Saez. 5-2 on the Belmont Park morning line. Let's see. They've been keeping stats on horse races going all the way back to the 1860s in the United States. Yes, the 1860s. And during that time, the horse selected as number 1 in the Blood Horse magazine list of the top 100 U.S. racehorses of the 20th century was the legendary Man of War. So the inaugural running of the Man of War took place in 1959, and that actually occurred at Aqueduct Racetrack. So, Ray, you're the hometown guy. I saved this one specifically for you. Who do you like in the feature, buddy?
Thanks a lot. You know what? I got a little story to tell you about this race last year. The Man of War was a race at Belmont, but I happened to be in Fort Lauderdale at the airport, and we got delayed because the weather conditions in Belmont were horrible. And remember last year when Zukova just waltzed over that,
that's right.
that course that was like they got hit with so much rain. And I remember watching this race at the airport, and I think she knocked us out because we didn't have her.
We had her.
I think we had Zukova covered that one.
We had her. I had her singled on my ticket.
Okay, all right, I got you. Okay. But man, that was some course, and just she romped home. But tomorrow will not be like that. I firmly believe that it was going to be, might be a little soft. It depends on which rain we get in the morning. But it should be a good course. And we're going to go to our old hometown favorites, number 2, Salas Joy. Raced the last year's Man of War. But, it's really not much of a chance. But this time, he's getting better. 5-year-old now. He had his typical Gulfstream preps. And he's here now. And he's going to run well, I believe. Going to come off the pace. Julian up a little. 3-1's a decent price. He might drift up a little bit based on how people play it. So he's my top choice there. Number 5, Wake Forest, gets another shot. He was here last year. He'll get another shot at this race. And he's getting older too. He's up to 8 years old. This is one of our old boys also. Castellano stays aboard. He prepped out a little optional claiming race there, so he's back to the stakes competition, and he should be revving up around the quarter pole, come flying home. I do like Chad Brown, number 6. How could we leave him out? We just can't. There's no way. Chad Brown stays, and we're gonna start split them. We're gonna put them in. Call Provision. He's on our ticket. Jose Ortiz, one of the highest jockeys around. Second race off the layoff here. And, he raced the Keeneland, the Elkhorn. First race, stretch his legs out there. That's a tough race. That's an Oscar nominated there. And so he can improve with this race. And Clarovich's 9-2 is a good price. I'm not going to put in High Happy. And that, he looks like he can only go one way on a speed. And if he does, let him beat me. So I'll go 2, 5, and 6, the Man of War. Hope I'm alive. Hope we're alive. Joe?
Well, I'm sorry, Ray. If High Happy beats you, you're going to be alive anyway. If anybody remembers last week's show. Well, actually, you know what? It was. Did we not? No, wait a minute. Was that race? Was the Murad race? Yeah, Murad was on the show last week.
Yeah, Murad.
Yeah. If you remember what I said about Todd Pletcher, horses getting better as they go along on the turf. Well, that was the first race off the freshening, or if you want, you can even say it was the second one. Fine. If this one's the third one off the freshening, and he runs as good as Murad did in the soft going at Churchill Downs at 8-1. I think if Zayas is still on the zero for the meet, I think this is where the zero stops.
He gets off.
Yeah. To me, the pace looks like the same. It's the same pace as the race that they ran last time in Florida. One go, all go goes to the lead. He might have a little bit more company. There's a possibility that you see. I don't want to say. I don't think Postulation is going to go that fast, but I'm thinking maybe Scholar Athlete might go. And there might be another horse, maybe Money Multiplier goes. Be the other horse, the Naipaul, Chatterpaul, Cacho ND goes with. One go, all go. But if they don't, High Happy's just gonna do exactly what he did that last race, and he beat One Go, All Go by 2.5. I think this race may be a little bit saltier. The problem I had with Saddler's Joy, and I heard Nick Tamero talking about it on the radio, on satellite radio today. He was saying he thinks, he just thought he was too far back and in a paceless race last time, so he thinks Saddler's Joy's got a better shot. That's his opinion, and I respect his handicapping acumen. I just don't see it any differently. I see One Go, All Go, and High Happy being 1-2, and High Happy just taking over at the top of the lane and doing what he wants. Whether somebody else can come and get him, we'll see. I do like Wake Forest. Of the three Chad Browns, I like Wake Forest the best. I'm going to use an angle I've used before on the show. I think that last race was only a prep for this. Obviously, Wake Forest doesn't need to win, optional optional $80,000 claimers to prove anything. I think that was just a starting point. Yeah. The fact was the pace. Look at the pace of the race. They went the half in 50 flat, and they came home. They came home in about 34 and change in the last 3 quarters. So really, they only ran about 3/4 of a mile. So that race really didn't mean anything to Chad Brown. It was just a starting point to get this horse's legs stretched, and I think he'll be fitter today. I think he'll be okay. I think he might be the one who comes running. Obviously, Saddler's Joy can too. But I'm also going to throw in another horse that we've talked about before, and that's Bigger Picture. He's 6 or 7 in the exacta at Belmont. Those were all earlier in his career. If you look on the PPs there are no races at Belmont. Again, they were a lot longer ago, and they were all in, claiming races or, non-winners of 1, non-winners of 2 allowance races. But it does show that he did appreciate the track. And he's still an 11-time winner. He's won graded stakes races. Obviously, he's done well on the East Coast. He won the United Nations at Monmouth only last year. So the horse, if the horse has one in him, I mean, obviously that last race, if you can say that Saddler's Joy had an excuse because the pace was slow, why can't you say it about Bigger Picture? Basically, he didn't have much of a pace to run into either. So maybe you could use that. If you can use it for Saddler's Joy at 3-1, you could use it for Bigger Picture. And I'm just looking at the morning line now. Bigger Picture's 12-1. So obviously, Bigger Picture's run some races that would win this in his past, and he's won at Belmont before. So I'm going to take a chance that he's got some. He'll use some of that back class, and maybe he's the one who comes running late. Again, I still think High Happy is probably the biggest, the most likely winner on the card. And to me, if I was going to single anybody in this pick 4, I would be singling High Happy in a field like this, and that obviously. That it means a lot to me. I think he's the horse to beat. And if he's 8-5 or 9-5, it might not be a bad idea to put some win money on him. But in this case, I went 7 with the 5 and the 8 underneath. And if we're gonna not split Chad Browns, we better throw Money Multiplier in there as well. He's coming back from a trip abroad, and this is his first time back since February. So don't sleep on him. I mean, again, I'm not going to include him on my ticket, but if we're deciding not to split Chad Browns, there's 3 of them, so we got to use all 3. 7, 5, 8 for me in the Man of War. Rich.
Yeah, I did split Chad Browns here because I had to use I had to use Fletcher. So I've got Chad Brown in the 6th spot. I've got his 6th horse called Provision with Jose Ortiz, and I can't remember if that's my top pick. I think High Happy is my top pick in this race. I don't see my check mark up there. But I do like Call Provision out of the Chad Brown horses and out of the closers that are here. If you look on that last one, the Elkhorn there at Keeneland, and again, you've heard us talking about Keeneland ad nauseum now. So a tough race. It had no pace in it whatsoever, which is what we're looking at the possibility here. And yet somehow this horse managed to close. Had to alter a path inside. I'll have to go back and look at the race to see just how much trouble that was. But I do see One Go All Go in there. I see Oscar nominated, and it's in the post. So those are some good names, and the horse finishes 4th, at least within 2 lengths of the lead there. For the reasons that you heard Joe and Ray already talk about, I like High Happy a lot here. I like Luis Diaz's Petra combination from Gulfstream. The horses got speed. I see a lot to like here, and I believe I might have just stopped with the 6 and the 7. I was contemplating whether or not I'm going to use Sadler's Joy as well, but right now I think I just got the 6 and the 7 on my top line. Ray, I believe you've got the 2, the 5, and the 6, and Joe it was just 7, 8 for you.
7, 5, 8.
7, 5, 8.
But really, the 7's more. The 7's a much better, much stronger A pick. The others are B pluses at best.
All right, let me come on back, and I will bring up our pick 4 template. Okay.
So, while Rich is doing that, Ray, we'll entertain the audience. What do you think? 1 to 5 next week on Justify? You think you'll get 1 to 5, or you think you'll get above 1 to 5, or no?
Maybe 2 to 5, if you're lucky. But well, compared to like who's running, because a lot of people are skipping the race, and it's not gonna be much. Depends on if Good Magic comes back and runs, then maybe 2 to 5.
You read my mind. That's exactly what I was gonna say next. Was if Good Magic runs.
Maybe
there'll be people who'll jump on the Chad Brown thing, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, maybe on a dry track or whatever rationale they want to use."
Might drift up a little bit.
Yeah, then I could possibly see 2 to 5. But other than that, so then basically next week when we talk about the Preakness, we could just say, "Oh, we like Justify and single them," and we can spend the rest of that time talking about the other races in the sequence.
That's how we square.
Hey, if he was running in some jurisdictions, they'd make the Preakness like the 3rd race, so it wouldn't be in the pick 4.
Nyla would do that.
No, we can't have 2 to 5 favorites in the pick 4. No, not gonna happen. Cannot happen. But I
tell you, Audible had a hell of a race, man, to come up with 3rd. He was moving at the end. Man.
Well, he's probably not. Well, I don't think he's in consideration for the.
I'm just saying, but he ran a good race.
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't even had a chance to go back and watch it.
Oh, I did. I watched it a couple of times. Actually, I thought Audible might have run the best race. Other than Justify, who obviously dominated.
Running hard.
Audible had,
Yeah. He might get stuck somewhere early.
It's funny. Like I said, I was listening to Nick Tamero on the radio today, and he was talking about that very same thing. He was talking about what he was seeing on social media, and I don't want to bore everybody, so I'll share it with Rich. I'll share it with you guys off the air. But
Justify really, he did it. He took it to them fast half. Middle of the race, a little slow. He still held on. And
what they were saying about the end of that race was not a little slow. They were saying a lot slow.
It was slow.
But the track condition had to play into that a little bit, I would think.
Him at all, you know. He said it too. He said, "I can't win. I won this easily."
Like I said, I can't. I haven't had a chance to go back and watch the replay. So I mean, I saw enough of Mendelssohn getting slammed, but other than that,
I had to come home.
When you got hit, my TV moved.
Yeah, I had to come home and watch it for nothing else, just so I could hear Travis Stone, because it was really that was really tough not being able to hear the race.
The whole day we unfortunately, like I said earlier in the show, we didn't really get to hear. We heard Michael Rona plenty, but
all my multi-rated bets were out. So I just wanted to exact the box and hit it.
It's funny. All the multi races were out. I mean, I basically I had a couple of wagers I made in Vegas, and I decided to, just because I was like, in case Mendelssohn is beholder, I said I'll just put 20 on Mendelssohn just in case. Because I mean, the fact that my boy Jack was second choice was, to me, still appalling. But I'm like, come on, you seriously? You're going to put my boy Jack as second choice as opposed to? I mean, again, not that, and not the red board, because my boy Jack ran fifth, and Mendelssohn finished last. But you know, still, I mean, I think I would make that bet 100 times more. If it was another 100 times I would do it out of 100 times out of 100, as opposed to betting my boy Jack.
My win bet was Baltimore, and like I said, the show, but he ran a mile and called it quits. So.
Well, again, at least he, you know, at least he tried.
He was in contention, yeah. Then
I mean,
round the far turn, I saw him hitting him with 2 inches. He's done.
Well, I mean, really, there weren't. I mean, almost nobody made up any ground in that race. I mean, almost. I mean, it's funny because it seems like the horses that made up ground were the horses that were on the rail. Mm-hmm. And still regard and Audible were coming up the rail, and they were the only ones who quote made up ground in the stretch. Whereas and I mean, other than that, nobody really did. Okay, what do we got? 2x3.
Yeah, and for those of you who are watching along with us, the red is Mr. Torado, that's Ray, and the black is Joe. The blue is Rich, and on top you'll see the green, which is, in theory, what you hear about the very beginning of it. That's the consensus ticket that we come to. And I should do my little funny here. So I always say consensus, since it's more like consensus.
Yeah, and it's funny. I hope, and I don't know for sure. Maybe we should look it up online at some point. I'm assuming that they're going to draw for the Preakness on Tuesday, like they did for Derby. I'm assuming they may draw, because they usually draw. I guess they're going to draw. I would hope they're going to draw a day earlier, so at least then maybe we'll have an extra day to do, have to prepare for the Preakness show. But at least the one thing we won't have to worry about preparing much for the Preakness, especially if Good Magic doesn't run. I mean, I won't even have to look at the race. Okay, great. I know who I'm betting in that one.
We'll be handicapping 2 races.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, maybe, you know what? Maybe we should do a pick 5 and just do the first 4 races, assuming that justifies the 5th and move. I mean, because I shouldn't make the assumption, but most tracks offer a late pick 5 now. I know Churchill did around the Derby, so maybe they'll do a late. Maybe Pimlico will do a late pick 5.
I'm almost positive that they would.
I would think, especially if Justify is going to be short. Yeah. Ray, you going?
Preakness?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we got so far. Our first leg.
They upgrade their facilities. I'm not going to go there. Pay that money. That place.
See Ray out there dancing and partying. Okay.
Yeah, man, you could be in the infield swimming in the lake there, man.
All right. In this first leg, let's see. I've got Ray's got the. Oh, you know what? Let me put the 5 in here, because Joe, the 5 is your top pick, right? In the first leg.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we've got the 2 and the 3 and the 5, and I guess on a technicality, I should have the 1 in there because the 1 was my top pick. I got the 1. Ray, the 3 is your top pick. Joe, the 5 is your top pick. And the 2, we have some consensus because that was both me and Ray's top line. That only leaves out the 4 that Ray had on his top line there.
And Green Grotto.
And Green Grotto, yeah. In this second leg, so far, I've only got the 1, the 2, and the 6. Of course, those all appear on Mr. Torado's line because he had the Keno machine broken out for this one. Joe, you had the 2 as your top pick, and I had the 1 as my top pick, and then there's some consensus. We all 3 of us had the 6.
What about the 4, Rich? You two guys
sorry,
have
there
the
it
4.
is. You know, the 4, so let's put that in there. Let's get.
This is an expensive ticket.
Yeah, I know. So that's what I was worried about. So we've got like the power caveman here with 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. Well, we did not hit the $70,000 50-cent pick 4 last week at Kentucky Derby, unfortunately. Otherwise, we'd be
funny duck.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, honestly, Rich, we didn't have Yoshida either, so
yeah,
let's be fair.
Let's be honest with everybody.
Let's be real. Yeah.
It wasn't just
Had we had Yoshida, it would really been Stinger.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna need to pare down some ones here, and that was where I was. Yeah. That was what kind of took us into the first one. So in the first leg, actually, my even though it's my top pick, the 1 doesn't have any consensus with you guys. So I've got the 2 and the 3. You guys both have the 3. Me and Ray both have the 2. So there's the 2 and the 3. And Joe, you got the 5 as your top pick. So how about we go 2, 3, 5?
Yeah, but there's also no consensus there when you think about it. So if you're tossing the 1, you could toss my 5 too.
All right.
3.
Is the 1 Skylar Scramjet in that first leg?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Yes.
Trevor McCarthy has been cold.
Who's the 5?
Well, and that's what I was thinking, Joe. Leaving the 1 off, at least that's knocking out the favorite there versus leaving out the 5, which is price.
Okay, I mean it's like I said, it's up to you guys. I'm game for anything.
Well, let's just see how we get there.
Yeah.
How we get to the end here.
Yeah.
Because this next race was the mess, right? This was the 1, 2, 4, 6.
Mm-hmm.
And that at least gives it. Well, it's funny because me and Ray both had the 1 as our top pick, and I think you've got the 2 as your top pick, and that was both on our lines as well.
Wait a minute. Yeah, no, I didn't have a top pick. I couldn't separate the 2.
You could say so the 2 and the 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's why I was like, we can't, because if we kick out one of the Chad Browns, that for sure is going to be the one that beats us.
Okay.
So
I don't know how Ray would feel. I could leave Lito out here. That was my long shot pick that was in this race. So I had 1, 4, 2, 6 with the 2 Chad Browns. So we could try 3 times 3.
Yeah, that's $72 right there. If you go just that.
On to our next level here. All right, we got 3, 4, 5. And then the 6 was because there was some consensus that was in that race.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to leave with the top 3 picks? We each go with our top pick, the 3, the 4, and the 5.
I mean, if you guys want to, like I said, I don't have. If you guys want to toss Blended Citizen, I'm okay with it. It's up to you. Because neither one of you guys mentioned him, and again, my pick in that race is tepid anyway. I really don't know what to do in that race.
I think all of us were. I was not. My pick was not a strong. I did not have a strong feel in the
pit pan. Yeah. No. Then we might as well stay 4 deep. Go as deep as we can afford.
All right, and then how about on to the Man of War? So I just got the 6 and the 7 there. Let's see. Ray 2, 5, 6, and Joe 7, 8, 5. So. The 7 is the top choice. Yeah, the 2, 6, 7 are the top choices, and the 5 just had some consensus.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we want to pare that one down one more, or?
Well, the only thing I would say is, and here it is, we'd be kicking because we don't have the 5 is Chad Brown. If we kick out the 5, because he's not a top choice. I mean, I know there's consensus, but. He would be the one. I mean, I don't want to. I'd rather not. I'd take out somebody's top choice. I'd rather take out the consensus underneath.
Right. Yeah.
And again, I could be just as happy going with High Happy by himself. I think he's the most likely winner on the card. So
We could also, I mean, we could use High Happy and one other horse here as well. One other, and pare it down that way, and then add back on the other legs. I had a strong feeling, but
then who do you take out? You take out Call Provision, or you take out Sadler's Joy, and or you kick out both Chad Browns?
Yeah, that's you start getting to that point.
Really? I mean, I know we're trying to pare down and all, but
well, we can leave it this way as well. 70, is it 72?
Yeah, 72. I think we have enough money in the account. I think we're okay with it.
It's not like it's gonna chalk out and pay.
Well, and that's the thing. We don't if Skylar Scramjet does not win and we get one of those 3 home,
yeah,
it's not going to chalk out.
No, it's gonna pay good. Yeah.
I mean, again, the Peter Pan to me, and we don't have core beliefs in that race either. So it's not a situation where we're going to get chalk no matter what.
Right.
So I mean, I could easily see with this. Plus, like you're saying, Ray, if it's rain, there may be scratches, and obviously we deal with that tomorrow. But at least for right now, I'd be willing to stay with this the way it is.
All right, 235 with 1, 2, 6 with 3 through 6, 3, 4, 5, 6 with 2, 5, 6, 7, and yeah, that's $72.
Yep. All right. 4 by 4 by 3 by 3, 12 by 9. Wait a minute. Yeah, 16 by 9. That's right. Cool beans, fellas.
Okay.
All right, let me come on back here one last time.
And again, if there's scratches, we'll have to deal with that tomorrow. Seems as if there's always one. So.
All right, so we got a little bit of a late start tonight, but for those of you who are watching, if you enjoyed the show, well, we'll be back next week because that's what the 3 Broke Guys do. We are going to get together, take a look at another exciting card. You've heard all about it all night long. It's the Preakness Stakes. It is in Baltimore, Maryland. There at Pimlico Racetrack in Baltimore, Maryland. So, all right, gentlemen, that's all the time we have for tonight. It's always a pleasure to handicap with the 2 of you.
Yes,
absolutely. Enjoyed it.
For Joe English and Ray Torado, I'm Rich Sharp. Thank you for watching 3 Broke Guys Handicapping. Good luck and good night.
Good night.
Good night.